Wonderful. We have 10 yes votes for this. Thank you all so very much. We will now move to bid number SBL 3014. This is from Pearson, course TTEI IC 41, Electrical Trades 1. The floor is open for bid number SBL 3014. Floor is open for your comments.
Commissioner Baldwin, 100% of the curriculum coverage meets NCCER.
Commissioner Linker, it did certification performance items, but there were no hands-on activities, and again, capstone projects were not available.
Commissioner Autry, this is an updated version of a previous textbook from this company. It has been updated to align with those NCCER credential programs. There's lots of enhancements for 2021, including the online testing, the online grading of the test, downloadable outcomes, and suggested alternative teaching plans.
Commissioner Perry, I piggyback on what everyone said. The content, the publisher works closely or must be affiliated with NCCER who developed the curriculum.
Will there be other comments? Are there other comments for SBL 3014? Hearing none, you may vote at this time. We have 10 yes votes for SBL 3014. We will now turn our attention to bid number SBL 3015 by Pearson. This is TTEI IC 42, Electrical Trades 2. Bid number SBL 3015. The floor is open for your comments.
Commissioner Seiss, the number of standards for the state and the number of modules for NCCER certification do not match. This presents an issue to classroom teachers using the online platform NCCER Connect.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ray, Electrical Trades 1 covers the first 8 modules of the Pearson Electrical Trades 1 textbook, which is the book that was in the prior bid. Then Electrical Trades 2, which is this course, finishes the remaining 4 modules of the prior bid book. Electrical Trades 2 starts with the state standard 1 via module 9 in the Electrical Trades 1 textbook. Therefore, the state standard is not in It is in the prior bid book and not this book, but when purchased in conjunction, they are an authority for the NCCER certification.
Commissioner Baldwin, there are many enhancements for 2021 as it is an updated version of the current textbook, online grading of tests and downloadable outcomes, and suggested alternative teaching plans.
Thank you.
Commissioner Linker, and to be specific with to add to Commissioner Ray's comments, it covered right at exactly 50% of the standards. The first 4 standards, 1 through 4, were not covered. And that, in addition to the fact that it doesn't have majority of the pedagogy, it doesn't have hands-on activities, it's not CTSO or Capstone, are also not present in the materials that were submitted.
Are there other comments? Hearing none, let's go ahead and vote for bid number SVL 3015. I need one more vote, please. We have 7 yes votes and 3 no votes. We will turn our attention now to SVL 3016. SVL 3016 is for TTEI IL 55 HVAC R1. SVL 3016. The floor is now open for comments.
Commissioner Ray, the module on heating needs to be updated as the information is no longer up to industry code.
Commissioner Seiss, there's a lot of information that is not applicable at this level and is outdated. Teaching is set up for lectures and virtual paper assignments, but does not include other types of learning styles or teaching activities to facilitate learning.
Commissioner Austin, the safety section needs to be a lot more in depth, and it could actually have its own module.
Commissioner Baldwin, it could continue to cover the content in a little bit more detail and to align with the standards.
Thank you all. Other comments? Hearing none, please go ahead and vote for bid number SVL 3016. SVL 3016. Just a second, I need to log back in. We will now turn your attention to SVL 3017. The floor is now open for your comments for SBL 3017. This is for HVAC R2. Bid number SBL 3017.
Commissioner Autry, this bid did meet the 50% threshold for standard alignment. However, standards 3 and 4 on troubleshooting were not available or not in depth.
Commissioner Gannett, again, to piggyback off that, there was limited troubleshooting information, sometimes a bit too advanced, and no specific accommodations for our EL students, and many portions were outdated as well.
Commissioner Ray, a strength of this bid is that there's an option to purchase the text in large print or Braille, and it offers a library of video and supplemental resources.
Commissioner Linker, not meeting two of the 5 standards, having only 60% met, in addition to not meeting the majority of Part B, which is the pedagogy. It didn't have hands-on activities. Capstone wasn't provided. It didn't do the CTSO as well. So I found that it didn't meet Part B, and Part A was just met.
Are there other comments for bid number SBL 3017? 3017. Hearing none, please go ahead and cast your vote. We have 2 yes votes and 8 no votes. 2 yes votes and 8 no votes for SBL 3017. Up next, we have bid number SBL 3018. And this is for TTEI IC11 Masonry 1. The floor is now open for your comments for SBL 3018.
Commissioner Baldwin, teacher dashboard is easier to navigate than student dashboard. Not many features for ELEC population.
Commissioner Gannett, the textbook is divided according to the standards perfectly.
Thank you.
Commissioner Blue, teacher resources include slides, lesson plans, and reviews and answer keys. The modules do a good job of preparing students.
Commissioner Seiss, although current technologies are discussed in sections 28106 and 28102, no information is given for developing technologies such as lift assist devices developed for increased career life.
Thank you. Are there any other comments for bid number SBL 3018? Hearing none, please go ahead and vote. Bid number SBL 3018 has received 10 yes votes. I'll turn your attention to bid number SBL 3019. This is for TTEI IC12 Masonry 2, publishers Pearson. The floor is now open for comments on SBL 3019.
Commissioner Linker, found that 100% of the instructional indicators were met with this submission.
Commissioner Ray, it does a good job of breaking down the content, and the content builds well throughout the text.
Commissioner Seiss, each section within modules makes objectives, performance tasks, and trade terms clear for each section.
Commissioner Blue, the sequencing of the information is logical and illustrates learning progressions from Masonry Masonry Level 2.
Commissioner Baldwin, one recommendation is for accommodations for L.
Are there any other comments? Hearing none, please go ahead and vote on bid number SVL 3019. We have 10 votes yes for SVL 3019. Let's turn our attention to SVL 3020 for TTEI 258 Plumbing 1. This is for bid number SVL 3020. The floor is open for comments.
Commissioner Ray found that it met 100% of the curriculum, but lacks in methodology and pedagogy in the instruction for students.
Commissioner Austin, and it also requires the need for advanced teaching strategies for Ls and for EC populations.
Commissioner Autry, it does have good photographic references and good use of vocabulary. I think it could benefit from better reviews, a little more in-depth review.
Are there any other comments for SVL 3020? Any other comments? Hearing none, you may go ahead and vote for SVL 3020. There are 10 yes votes for bid number SVL 3020. We will now move to bid number SVL 3021, TTEI IL 59, Plumbing 2. The floor is open for your comments for SVL 3021.
Commissioner Perry, seems to be a good book. The first standard was not included. However, a teacher could go back from plumbing 1 and review and then begin from there.
Commissioner Baldwin, it does do a good job of outlining the section, objectives listed, performance tasks given, terms for section, mention of credentials, section content listed, and figures and tables listed in the beginning.
Commissioner Gadet, there were good graphics. However, some of the blue ones were a little too light. The chapters and sections are consistently outlined.
Commissioner Ray, there are standards listed at the bottom of each page and review at the end of each section. The module review at the end of the standard that reviews everything, and the NCCER exam is mentioned at the end of the modules.
Commissioner Linker, in addition to the first standard, I could not locate the second standard fully covered within it as well, so I couldn't find 2 of the standards. Still had 75% though.
Are there others? Other comments? Hearing none, you may go ahead and vote for bid number SVL 3021. SVL 3021. Plumbing 2. We have 10 votes for SVL 3021. Please take a look at the next bid, SVL 3022. This is for Welding Tech 1 by Pearson. The bid number is SVL 3022. The floor is open for your comments.
Commissioner Seiss, materials align with AWS Sense very well, and the materials build with the students as they learn.
Commissioner Austin, this offers read aloud functions on the site, and it's already shown how to do so.
Commissioner Ray, it doesn't show the setup and temperatures for each type of metal within the welding industry.
Commissioner Baldwin, it does meet 90% of curriculum, little supplementation needed, additional videos and readings available.
Commissioner Linker, in the same section that Commissioner Ray, I couldn't find the other indicators, so I didn't find standard 4 at.
Are there any other comments? Hearing none, you may go ahead and vote for bid number SVL 3022. Bid number 3022 has 10 yes votes. The final book for Pearson today is bid number SVL 3023, TTEI IM 62 Welding Tech 2. The floor is open for your comments on bid number SVL 3023. The floor is open for your comments.
Commissioner Autry, this bid meets about 90% of the. One area of weakness would be 1.01. AWS requires the module, but the textbook doesn't provide any resources for it.
Commissioner Seiss, the textbook does a good job laying out the welding process and builds the skill levels as you go through it.
Commissioner Ray, the text is broken down into groups where the students would not have to dig through the book or to search for different pages to find the information. They often stop and review the material and show videos for our visual learners.
Are there other comments? Hearing none, you may go ahead and vote for bid number SVL 3023. Bid number SVL 3023 has 10 yes votes. I'll now turn your attention to Walsh Education. NC Math 1 is up next, so you will need to go to the math platform at this time. I'll give everyone a moment to do so. Is everyone there? All right, up first, we have bid number WAL 1100. This is for NC Math 1, Walsh Education. This is our Math 1 digital print student bundle, 5 years. Is this the one we need to look at?
So this one should be 1 year.
Okay, so
And then
this
the
needs to read 1 year?
next, I think, title, you may not see it because it's got a huge title. Is this not the 1 year first? Maybe it's
No,
1
this
year.
is the 5 years. Yeah.
It's the very first one on my
So the
list.
second one is. That is correct.
So is this the 5-year one?
Mhm.
Okay, so this is the 5-year one. This is WAL 1100. WAL 1100. Are there any comments at this time? Bid number WAL 1100, NC Math 1, Walsh Education. The floor is open for comments.
Commissioner Baldwin, it met 75% of the standards.
Commissioner Blue, the content in each lesson is scaffolded in a way that is clear for students to see and understand. Commissioner Austin, the textbook addresses the domain of statistics and probability very thoroughly.
Commissioner Cadet, the textbook also provides real world scenarios.
Commissioner Ray, it's not really up to our standard of rigor, and the standards were very segmented and did not seem to flow very well.
Commissioner Autry, there were 2 standards that were not found in the standard correlation, BFB and LE.
Are there other comments?
Commissioner Linker, I found right at 80% standards that I couldn't find addressed or completely addressed would be a really long way to shorten it. SSE 1A, REI 6, IF 3, IF 5, IF 8, B like boy, BF 1A, BF 1B, LE 1, and GPE 5.
Thank you. Are there other comments? Hearing none, you may go ahead and vote at this time for bid number WAL 1100. WAL 1100. We have 10 yes votes for WAL 1100. We will now move to WAL 1101 NC Math 1. And is this the one where there's a little something different?
They all have a little something different. Half of them, 2 of them have some digital only, 2 have workbook only, 2 are 5 years and 2 are 1 years. It may be just easier if we just talk about 1 at a time because they're not lined up easy. I think it'd be too confusing for listening to the audio.
Okay.
So at this point, if it's something that you want to make the same comment, that would probably be okay, especially if you're given specific objectives that you didn't meet, because that's always helpful. And as well as anything that might be different in a strength.
So what I'll do is just call the bid number and I'll ask for comments, and we will leave it at that. Okay? So bid number WAL 1101, NC Math 1. Are there any comments?
Commissioner Sice, there was an ample amount of extra online resources to assist students not only through tech, but through online platforms as well to aid in their understanding.
Commissioner Cadet, the standards that were previously addressed, in the previous submission are the same standards that were not addressed in this one as well.
Commissioner Baldwin, going in conjunction with Commissioner Gadet, parts of the quadratic expression was not expressed.
Commissioner Ray, being that this is a digital student license, that would limit the amount of hands-on worksheets that students would be able to use and access for a math course.
Are there any other comments? Hearing none, please go ahead and vote at this time for bid number WAL 1101. WAL 1101. Need one more vote. Thank you so very much. We have 9 yes votes and 1 no vote for bid number WAL 1101. The next bid number is WAL 1102, NC Math 1 by Walsh Education. The floor is now open for your comments. Bid number WAL 1102.
Commissioner Linker, this would be the same information in WAL 1100. The difference is it's a 1-year digital instead of a 5-year digital. So I'm going to list the standards that I list in the first one for consistency. I found that it did meet 80%, but it did not address SSE1A, REL6, IF3, IF5, IF8B like boy, BF1A, BF1B, LE1, GPE5.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ray, this bid does include a consumable student workbook.
Are there any other comments? Hearing none, please go ahead and vote at this time for WAL 1102. Bid number WAL 1102 has 10 yes votes. We will now move to bid number WAL 1103. The floor is now open for your comments.
Commissioner Linker, just a reminder, WAL 1103 would be the same as WAL 1101. This is the one-year digital license, digital only. And 1101 was a 5-year digital license. That's the only difference between the two.
Other comments?
Commissioner Austin, the one thing to add would be that accessibility for all students will be limited due to the students' access or availability to the students for these materials.
Commissioner Autry, one thing that I did note on both of the bids was that the units seem to be very, very isolated when there are some more connections or scaffolding done throughout the units.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, you may go ahead and vote at this time for WAL 1103. WAL 1103 has 9 yes votes and 1 no vote. I will now turn your attention to WAL 1104, NC Math 2. The floor is open for your comments.
Commissioner Ray, Desmos, Khan Academy, and CK12 activities are linked within the Math 2.
Commissioner Baldwin, material covers the majority of standards in a clear and cohesive manner. Standards not covered were not necessarily totally omitted, but were not specifically covered in other materials.
Commissioner Blue, digital resources include presentations, applets, an item bank that allows teachers to build formative and summative assessments, as well as practice sheets, lessons and instructions on also how to use the TI-84, TI-Inspire calculators.
Commissioner Austin, the unit has suggested instructional strategies of literacy, mathematical discourse, annotation, and graphic representation.
Commissioner Autry, this did have high curricular alignment with standards standing out not being specifically addressed was FIF1.
Other comments? Hearing none, please go ahead and cast your vote at this time. Bid number 1104 has 10 yes votes. We will move to WAL 1105. This is for NC Math 2.
Commissioner Austin, one additional area of concern is that the standard cluster of interpreting functions is weak in this text.
Other comments?
Commissioner Gadet, this did cover majority of the curriculum and was very well organized, and there were station-based activities and guided practice as well.
Commissioner Baldwin, the content, methodology, instructional levels, and teaching strategies are clear and well organized.
Commissioner Ray, again, this is a digital student license, so accessibility for some students may be more difficult.
Commissioner Linker, plus to go along with the additional comment from the one, not only does it provide opportunities for mathematical discourse, it also provides sentence starters for an extra support for EL and lower learners who might need that extra scaffolding to be successful with that discourse. And there's a great use of graphic organizers throughout.
Are there other comments? Hearing none, you may go ahead and cast your vote for bid number WAL 1105. Bid number WAL 1105 has 10 yes votes. We will move on to bid number WAL 1106. This is for Math 2 by Walsh Education. Floor is now open for comments for WAL 1106. Remember, we would like to hear something from everyone on these bids, conversation. A portion of the conversation with our attorneys was we were able to do this blended model because we needed to be able to hear from everyone. So contributions by all would make this very, very good. So just want to put that out. We're opening the floor for WAL 1106.
Commissioner Linker, for clarification, WAL 1106 would be the same general conversation as WAL 1104. This is the 1-year digital with consumable. Difference being between this one and the 1104 is the length of the license. 1 year for this one, 5 years for the previous one.
Thank you for that clarification.
Commissioner Sice, the content, methodology, instructional levels, and teaching strategies are clear and well integrated.
Commissioner Autry, an asset to this text would be that each unit has listed at the beginning the standards that are aligned to that unit with essential questions and words to know with the papers for those standards.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, you may go ahead and vote for WAL 1106. Thank you for your votes. WAL 1106 has 10 yes votes. We will move on to WAL 1107 for NC Math 2. The floor is open for comments at this time.
Commissioner Linker, again for clarification, WAL 1107 is the same as WAL 1105, the difference being the length of the license. And for consistency, I'd like to add to the scaffolding available for, with graphic organizers and sentence starters. They also provide annotation for every unit.
Commissioner Autry, to add to that, the lesson assessment portion included a conceptual task, a mid-unit assessment, and end-of-unit assessment.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Hearing none, you may go ahead and cast your vote for WAL 1107. WAL 1107. Righty, we still need one more vote. I only have 9 votes for this. I need 10. Going to take a break right at about 10 o'clock. We try to do that. We did that yesterday. We're going to do that again today. So if we just hold just a little bit, do one right around 10.
Answered yet. Having some problems. Okay. I need to take a break.
They have to. So we'll go ahead. Seven. So we'll hold. All right. We have a little issue, some technical difficulties online. So we will go ahead and do that break now. It's only been about an hour and 10 minutes. So, okay, we'll go ahead and do that break now. We'll come back and pick up at 11:07. Let's do about 10 minutes. Is that okay? Get another little break in there? We'll come back in about 10 minutes. We'll see you shortly. Okay. Deal. Mine is doing that over here too this morning. That's all right. That's good. So for WAL, submission WAL 1107, bid number WAL 1107, we have 10 yes votes. Thank everyone for that. Now we will move on to bid number WAL 1108, NC Math 3. The floor is open for comments. Do you have any comments at this time? WAL 1108.
Commissioner Baldwin, it covers majority of the standards, does a good job with assessment to analyze what standards are needed for students. Website correlation is positive for new teachers. While many veteran teachers may have already mastered the concepts.
Commissioner Ray, there are cultural, ethnic, radical, gender, and handicap groups that are not represented or present in the material, and some of the online material is lacking teacher directions.
Commissioner Sice, ASSE 1A is not in the guide and not met as only exponential functions found in material. ASSE 1B not in guide and not found in material. APR 6 incorrect in guide but found in material. ACED 1 lacking inequalities. REI 1 not in the guide. FIF 2 not in the guide but in the material. FIF 4 not in the guide covered but lacking in trig tables. FTF 2 AB not met. FTF 5 not met. GMD 3 met but lacking in prisms. SIC 1 met but not in guide. SIC 6 met but lacks graphical representations.
Are there any other comments?
Commissioner Blue, the material contains limited concrete hand.
Are there any others? All right, hearing none, you may go ahead and vote for bid number WAL 1108, Math 3. We have 10 yes votes for WAL 1108. We will now move WAL 1109, Math 3. The floor is now open for your comments.
Commissioner Austin, in addition to what we said for the previous submission, the materials could include more of the necessary guides in multiple languages, sidebars, dictionaries, and support. More complex solutions would also extend the higher order thinking skills in order to apply the standard of the use of fundamental theorem of algebra to determine the number of potential types of solutions for polynomial functions.
Other comments about WAL 1109?
Commissioner Sice, all of the comments from the previous WAL 1108 that were not in correlation or not in the guide are the same for this one.
Commissioner Godet, each unit provided real-world examples for implementation and suggestions for ending the lesson that included class discussion starters, instructional materials, included tech simulations, demonstrations, digital manipulatives, and websites with practice problems and tutorials.
Commissioner Blue, assessments included performance tasks, open-ended questions, multiple choice questions, and journal entries.
Any other comments? Hearing none, please go ahead and vote for bid number WAL 1109. 10 yes votes. For WAL is 1109. Let's turn our attention to WAL 1110. WAL 1110 by Walsh Education. This is NC Math 3. The floor is open for your comments for WAL 1110.
Commissioner Botwin, the materials are user-friendly and include multiple teaching methods and strategies. It is aligned with the standards well.
Commissioner Blue, the material sets students up for meaningful participation, collaboration, reflection, explanation, and justification seen in lessons.
Are there any other comments? Hearing none, please go ahead and cast your vote at this time for WAL 1110. We have 10 yes votes for WAL 1110. We will now turn our attention to WAL 1111 for NC Math 3. The floor is open for your comments.
Just the subscriptions rate for the license is different. And I'd like to add an additional comment about the online resources. At the end of each unit, there were practice problems and tutorials available, which would provide extra support for students if they just needed some reteaching, enrichment, or support.
Other comments? Any other comments? Hearing none, go ahead and cast your vote for WAL 1111, NC Math 3. We have 10 yes votes. WAL 1111. Let's turn our attention to WAL 1112, NC Math 4. The floor is open for your comments at this time.
Commissioner Linker, I found that it covered 90% of the instructional standards. I did not find evidence of SP 1.1 or SP 2.3.
Commissioner Seiss, going off of that, material fails to meet standards in the following areas: N 2.2, AF 2.1, AF 2.3, AF 3.1, AF 3.2, AF 3.3, AF 4.1, SP 1.3, and SP 2.3.
Commissioner Ray, going off of that, SP 1.3 specifies in our standards that the measures have sample sizes of greater than 200, And within the text, most sample sizes had less than 20 with a few larger sizes, but there was nothing that was larger than 200 in their sample size.
Commissioner Baldwin, going off of that as well, advisors say they like the resources available and they don't mind supplementing.
There any other comments?
Commissioner Autry, there are a few sections in the trig unit in which the content goes in a different direction and discusses concepts that are not required by North Carolina standards. And there are some sections that do not provide as many practice problems for the standards because they discuss other topics that are not required.
Comments? Please go ahead and take your vote for WAL 1112. Have 10 yes votes for WAL 1112. Let's turn our attention to WAL 1113. This is for NC Math 4 by Walsh Education. The floor is open for your comments.
Commissioner Perry, material fails to meet standards in the following areas: NC M4 and 2.2, which are lessons 8.8 and 8.9. The material does a good job for most part in describing how to add, subtract, scale vectors using the appropriate North Carolina vector notation. The standard looks for vectors to be solved using the law. Lesson 4.1, the material covers the Pythagorean theorem identity, but fails to address other relations to how to use them. So there's a few things that are mentioned. Overall, the text content aligns the Math 4 standard.
Thank you.
Commissioner Autry, each section has a scaffolded practice with example problems to use as direct instruction, a performance task, and then 2 sets of practice problems. And then there's also a more comprehensive task at the end, summative assessment. So there's a variety of resources that are there for teachers.
Commissioner Austin, the material goes in depth into explaining complex numbers, and the online component has everything that's in print, as well as links to online tools to further explore the various concepts in a hands-on, more inquiry-based manner.
Wonderful. Are there any more comments? Any more comments for WAL 1113? Hearing none, please go ahead and cast your vote for bid number WAL 1113. We have 10 yes votes for bid number WAL 1113. 10 yes votes. I would like to turn your attention now to WAL 1114. This is for NC Math 4. WAL 1114.
Commissioner Linker, WAL 1114 would be the same as WAL 12. The only difference is the license length. And I would like to add to that a strength is within the website. You find links to other popular websites for practice like Desmos and GeoGebra. GeoGebra?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not a math high school teacher.
Understood.
Commissioner Autry, I don't think this was mentioned in a previous comment, but in the program overview document, it does have ideas and strategies on how to use and maximize their product that include strategies for EC and EL populations.
Right. Any other comments about WAL 1114? If not, please go ahead and vote for WAL 1114. We have 10 yes votes for bid number WAL 1114. And last on our list for this session is bid number WAL 1115, NC Math 4, Cobalt Education. The floor is open for your comments.
Commissioner Seiss, there are many good examples for topics that are not covered in many other materials, such as composition of functions in various forms, some of the piecewise function problems, addressing vectors using the vector notation is also preferred by NCSCOS.
Any other comments about WAL 1115? Hearing none, please go ahead and cast your vote. All right, bid number WAL 1115 for NC Math 4 has 10 yes votes. The time is now 10:15, and we have completed of all. Did a fantastic job. Fantastic. So at this time, yes, I think that's clap worthy. Did a great job. So Dr. You'll need to share with me.
So at this time, we are getting ready to allow publishers to request reconsideration for the ones that we did not recommend. We're giving them a 30-minute window to provide that information, in which case they will be scheduled to come back and present to us. So we would have at least a 30-minute break to give them time to let us know if they choose to ask for reconsideration or not. And as that information comes in, then I will schedule them, and we'll have a schedule for who's going to come when. And I won't know any specifics until we know who does, because they would make that choice themselves.
So at least a
So
30-minute
a
break.
30-minute break if we can be back. And we're getting kind of close to lunch, so I don't know if we come back in 30 minutes, have that information, and then see if we can get lunch moved up a little bit. So we don't have to like start and then stop for lunch and then start back. What do you guys think? Dr. Fair, what do you think about that? I mean, because it's 10:17, so we're looking at 10:45,
Right.
10:50, probably right at 11 to get out the information of. We won't start at 11 because we have to give them a little time to prepare. But I don't know who they are.
So we let people check back in with us at 10:45. We'll at least have some information to give them, right?
I would say 11 because right now 10:45, they don't have the information yet, and they have 30 minutes to let us know.
Okay, so 11?
So 11, and then at least we'll know what we're looking at for the rest of the day, what the schedule looks like, and we can make a call as to lunch early, or do we go for a lunch later and
Okay.
do a little bit, push lunch out, and that work? Okay.
So we'll meet back in this
Yeah.
room
And
at
so I
11.
think no one has their room, so y'all can hang out in here. You can lobby. There's go to the breakfast room, I think. Side. So we will adjourn until
So those virtually log back on at
at
11.
11 o'clock. They
Okay.
need to be on about 5 to 11, so we don't have to wait to make sure everything's working.
All right, so if everyone will sort of get back on, log back on at 10:55, and those who are with us face to face will come back in here right at 11. All right, we'll see everyone shortly.
Dr. Fair, start It's online.
Are our virtual participants on? Do we have everyone on virtually who is expecting to be on? May we hear your names, please? If you were on this morning, will you please just give us your names?
Chris Walmart.
Thank you.
Megan O'Quinn.
Thank you.
Peter McCarthy.
Thank you.
Lisa Ron.
Thank you. So we will turn it over to. Okay, one more thing. We have the exact number of commissioners in the room who were with us this morning. So everyone is still present. Dr. Thayer and Commissioner Linker are still working. I'm going
Okay.
to turn it over to them.
Commissioner Linker, we have 3 publishers that have asked for reconsideration, and they are getting the email with their specific times. I felt they're probably listening as well. The first one will start at 1 o'clock, so we're going to eat lunch and come back. We're going to eat lunch and then come back to start the reconsideration process at 1. At 1 o'clock, we will have CEV Multimedia. They have 1 submission for reconsideration. They would like CEV 3026. They will start at 1. They have 15 minutes to present. And then we have 15 minutes allotted to deliberate on that information and then revote. The second publisher will start at 1:30. That would be eDynamics Learning. eDynamics Learning has 1 bid for reconsideration. They would like to present on EDL 3003. They will start at 1:30 and conclude it by 1:45. Then we will have 15 minutes to deliberate and revote. And then the last publisher would be at 2 o'clock, and that would be Pearson Savas. They have 2 submissions that they would like us to reconsider. That would be SLV 3005 and SLV 3016. They also would have 15 minutes. They will start at 2, and they will end their presentation at 2:15, and then we will deliberate and revote between 2:15 and 2:30.
So that is what we're looking at. Everybody can break. Those of you that are online need to be back and ready to go by 5 to 1 so that we can start on time at 1. Any commissioners have any questions, comments? Okay. Dr. McLean, send everybody to lunch.
We're in recess for lunch at this time. Thank you. It is 1:02. Does it look like everyone is with us? So I assume we will bring the company in one at a time. Is that right? They're up here. To do that after they present. Okay. Okay. So let's do.
All right, Megan O'Quinn, I have made you a presenter. If you'd like to share your screen, you're all good to go.
So up first we have CEV 3026.
Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Perfect. So just wanted to talk about our submission for CEV 30026, which was for Health Science 1, and talk a little bit about some of the positives that were said, which were that 90% of the standards were covered, which was above the threshold. The hands-on activities and projects were good, and it had good EL supports and differentiation. And listening to the deliberation yesterday taking some notes, It seemed the two main issues that arose were that there was an error concerning the CAB acronym, which was mentioned in the Skills for Health Science Professionals lesson based on the order of how CPR should be administered, that it should be ABC. But upon further investigation in the American Heart Association, they've changed the ABC order to CAB as of 2010. And so that's what's referenced in our materials for the CAB versus the ABC. And the other main concern was that it lacked alignment to the American Red Cross CPR certification and the American Heart Association certifications. And just wanted to point out that both of those certifications were not listed within the standards for that particular course. And I think the standard that would have aligned to would have been 1.03. And so we just didn't include anything for those because they weren't listed within those standards. So we weren't aware of that being an evaluation metric. But those were the main concerns that I heard during the deliberation. So I hope that helped answer some of those questions for why those acronyms showed up, and then also the lack of alignment. Is there anything else that you all would like me to go through or show on this particular course? If not, that's the only kind of reconsiderations we had based on the information that we were given during the deliberation.
Thank you. I'm checking really, Commissioner Linker, do any of the other commissioners have a question, clarification this time? Online? Commissioner Perry, Commissioner Mills?
Commissioner Perry, I did not have any questions.
Mills, neither do I.
Thank you very much. If that's all that you want to share with us, then we can deliberate. Okay. All right. Thank you. Commissioner Linker, so now the process for us would be we would deliberate just like before, but for everyone, especially Commissioner Perry and Commissioner Mills, so that everyone understands where we're going in the platform, you're going to go if you're on the main menu and you look down where it says reconsiderations, and if you click on that, you'll see the ones that have been asked. There's 4 there. You'll see a hyperlink that says reconsideration vote, and beside it in the next column you'll see reconsideration notes. So we will have a discussion, and then in the reconsideration notes you need to make documentation as to if you're going to change your vote, why, or if your vote's going to remain the same, why, and then we will vote. Any questions about that? So, discussion on CEV 3026.
Commissioner Perry, I'm sorry, my dogs were barking and I couldn't quite hear what you were saying. What website do we need to go back to?
The same one that you were on to vote earlier. So you go to the platform, that we've been using to vote and do your report on. So if you're on the main page, down under it says right underneath where you deliberated and voted, it'll say reconsiderations. So if you click where it says reconsiderations, that will open up a window and you'll see the 4 submissions that were up for reconsideration. You'll see the left-hand column will be the link to where you will go to, where we will vote
after we talk about it to discuss, and in the right-hand column, it says reconsideration notes, and that is where you provide your documentation as to if you do or if you do not change your vote. And for what documentation, like if I were to change my vote, I would need to say, based on whatever information was provided, that I changed my vote. So we're going to discuss it first, and then we will vote and give everyone a chance to do that part.
I cannot get into the website. It's like, I don't know what's going on, but I can't get in.
So my experience is if you don't log out, sometimes it times out. So log out, close your browser, and come back in and try to log in again. So while Commissioner Perry is getting it pulled up, do we want to have some discussion? Need a minute to look at your notes.
This is Commissioner Mills. I think that the rep answered the questions that we were asking about as far as I'm concerned. Because we had some items were not in line, especially with the American Heart Association or Red Cross, and she talked about the changes there. Because my notes for overall were teacher resources are easy to use and label well. Materials include a variety of activities for multiple learning and teaching styles and includes engaging activities and 21st century learning skills.
Commissioner Perry, I was off of the website when I first come back into it. It is saying that my ID is invalid. It's the same thing that was sent from Dr. Fair. I'm going to the CTE survey website, textbook CTE, correct? And logging in, and I'm putting a password that was sent to me, and it's not working.
Just make sure that you're putting in your CTE password and not your math.
I am. I'm not in. It's not going.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Commissioner Perry, try this while we're going to resend you the username and password. It shouldn't have changed, but sometimes if you like quit your browser, she's not on the app. She said that didn't work. Did you close the window that's in your browser that was open that you were using? Like just close that window or the tab?
I've closed it all out, and I've went to that CTE link, and I've put my name and that password, and it says username invalid.
While she's doing that, do you guys want to consider any other conversations? I will say, this is Commissioner Linker. I will say that I initially voted in favor of this, and I found that it found 90% of the standards. I did note that it didn't have the certification for Red Cross and American Heart Association, but that didn't weigh enough for me not to recommend it to begin with. So I only found in my search one objective that wasn't met. And that one objective was 1.03. I did note that it also included a capstone project and had lots of opportunities for hands-on learning.
This is Commissioner Ray. I had initially voted nay on this vote because I did not want something as important as the as CPR incorrect, and I was going based off of advisors' information who had taught the course. So I plan to change my vote to yay because that has been addressed. I just did a quick Google search and verified every bit of information she shared. So I feel confident because the rest of the text had great reviews as she spoke to in her presentation.
Commissioner Linker, while we're waiting for Commissioner Perry, I think we could go ahead and vote and it's just a matter of her getting in to do her vote. So are we ready to vote? Does anyone have anything else to discuss? So at this time, you're going to need to open up and make your comments as to if you are or are not changing your vote and why, and then pull the vote up. Commissioner Mills, have you had an opportunity to vote? Well, I know we're waiting for Commissioner Perry.
Voted.
Since I cannot get in, can my vote just stand as it is? Commissioner Perry speaking.
Announce it out loud so everyone is aware. Yes, you can tell us what your vote is, dear, and we will add it due to your verbal announcement of your vote. Hello?
Yes.
Yes, if you give us a verbal announcement of your vote, we will just simply add it to the tally.
Um,
Would you like to tell us how you voted and we'll just add it?
Yes, that's fine. I'm going, Commissioner Perry, vote yes. That's it.
Thank you so much. Add another yes vote. And that will give us 10 votes. Thank you so much. We now have 10 votes for CEV 3026.
So the next one is, we've got 10 minutes for the next one scheduled to present.
Thank you, everyone. We have about 10 minutes before the next presentation.
Hello, Dr. Perry. Is it possible that I could share my screen?
I will set you up as a presenter here momentarily.
Thank you.
Commissioner Perry, this is Carmela Fair. Are you there? Commissioner Perry?
There she is.
Yes.
Are you able to get on a call with me after the meeting so we can talk about getting your information in a different way?
Sure.
Okay. I will send you an email, and if you just send me back the best number to call you afterwards.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. What we're going to have done is that we will have one of our commissioners to submit in writing the vote so that we have documentation that will match the number of commissioners who've been present for today's activity. And that way we will be able to prove our number and the vote, and everything should line up if we were asked to defend how we came up with what we have at the end. Okay? That's just for the sake of clarity. Now, is it time? Yes.
Yeah.
So for E-Dynamics, we have, it's 1:30, is that correct? Let me see. It is 1:29, but is she ready to go?
I am, yes.
Wonderful. Good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. We are
Thank you.
now going to listen to bid number EDL 3003. EDL 3003. And we'll turn it over to eDynamics at this time.
Thank you so much for allowing us an opportunity to present and to be able to share with you some aspects of the course that might have been missed during the review. I feel for you the amount of course resources that you need to review in a very short window. So thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. And a disclaimer, I apologize profusely. I am in between flights right now. So if you hear some PA announcements, I am so sorry for that. Just bear with me. So
It's okay.
thank you so much for your understanding. So yesterday, myself and my colleague noted with respect to business law 1A and 1B, which we submitted in consideration for BFM BB30 business law, that there was a wonderful commissioner who was noting a number of standards may not have been met by our courses. And a point of clarification is that we produce two courses, an A and a B, which work together to form the full course. And when I noted the commissioners missing standards and went through the course and the alignment documents that we shared with the state, I believe that we do actually meet those standards. So that's an important thing to remember, is that it's two courses, Business Law 1A and Business Law 1B, which form the whole. And they're 8 units each. And the commissioner pointed to 6 standards that we noted were missing. And again, going through the course and finding those standards, which I'll walk through in a second, and how those standards are taught. And one important point is that not only do eDynamic learning courses teach standards, we, as much as possible, try to make sure that those standards are assessed by one of the different mechanisms within our courses. So we'll go through these first 3 first and then address the last 3. So the first standard that the commissioner pointed out was that our courses didn't differentiate between criminal and civil law, didn't cover that. And in fact, we do cover that. It's in Business Law 1B in the first unit in the second lesson. The second lesson is devoted to differentiating between criminal and civil law. As well, the commissioner mentioned that we missed defining and describing employment law and expanding that. We cover that in 2 units. In the first course, Business Law 1A, in a unit dedicated to the employee-employer relationship, looking at employment law from the perspective of the employer and how the employer has to be mindful of certain laws. And then as well in business law 1B, we cover this standard in a unit on government regulation and employee rights. So looking at labor law from the employee's perspective. Additionally, the commissioner mentioned that we didn't describe agency law, and we do in that same unit that I just mentioned earlier, Unit 4, employee-employee relationship, right in the lesson. So I thought I would do screen caps because picture's worth 1,000 words, so that you could see how we unpack this information. And that earlier table showed as well where we're assessing these standards. So that was the first 6 standards that we captured from the commissioner, and there were another 6 standards as well. The commissioner mentioned that our courses didn't cover. The first one being financial and, oh, I'm sorry, hold on, there we go. Financial, credit, and bankruptcy law, and we cover that in 2 units, actually over a couple of units. In business, both in business law 1B, the second part of the course, government regulations in lesson 4, that covers financial and credit law. And then business law 1B unit 8 describes options to wind down a business, and if an individual needs to file for bankruptcy, what that actually means and what the law actually looks like. As well, during yesterday's meeting, it came out that the commissioner referenced that there was no description of property law, and there is. In fact, there's an entire unit devoted to property as well as insurance. They co-share space, and lesson 1 really unpacks property law. As well, it was mentioned that the course didn't cover cyber law. And in fact, we do have a unit in the first part of the course, Business Law 1A, that is dedicated to technology. And cyber law is woven throughout the lessons there, but it's most prominent in lesson 4 and lesson 5. And just some other things that didn't come out necessarily in discussion of e-dynamic resources, but I did notice it was referenced in some other resources that you were reviewing, is the idea of diverse curriculum and ensuring inclusivity. And one thing that we had mentioned, we created a video and sent that video to the state for anybody who was reviewing our courses to prime them on eDynamics instruction design and what to expect, as well as how to log into the demo account. We also explained in that video that a big key to the work that we do at eDynamic is that we send our resources to a third-party diversity editorial organization, and that third party will assign individuals with lived experiences in one of the topics that you see on the screen here to read through any material that might reference one of the topics here on this screen, like bullying and cyberbullying, for example. And with that lived experience, share with us whether or not the unit or the material is free of unconscious bias. And that's true of business law as well as other resources, actually all resources that eDynamic produces. And then the last thing I'll just mention on the note of equity and access is that all of our courses meet Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.0 AA. And additionally, they directly integrate with 6 different learning management systems, all the major ones. They work on all devices. They are browser agnostic as digital resources. And that's what I wanted to share with you. So thank you so much for your time. Very much appreciated. I'll stop my share. I think I'll stop my share. Hold on. There we go. Okay, there we go.
Commissioner Linker, you still have a good 7 minutes, so we're going to see if anyone had any questions for
Oh,
you.
certainly. Please.
I do have a question. This is Commissioner Linker. Can you explain a little bit, at the very beginning, you said that it was 3A and it was A and B?
Correct. Yes.
And
So
what we're missing was in one and not the other. Both of those were part of the same submission number?
correct. Yes. So we would bundle them. We bundle them together. That's a great question. We bundle them together. And there, it did feel like yesterday with the reference to the number of standards that were missed, that maybe evaluation occurred with one course and perhaps not the other. That's probably on us to make sure that we explain that more effectively, but we did submit both under the same bid number and as a package. And the A is the prerequisite for the B.
It
Other
doesn't.
questions I can answer?
I was like, Commissioner Linker, it doesn't appear that we have any questions for you at this time, so thank you for your presentation.
Thank
And
you.
we will take a minute to look over our notes before we begin deliberating on it. Thank you. This is Commissioner Linker. I'm trying to get into the website to verify, and I can't get site. Just not able to navigate to find. Access to the site.
discussion.
The business law correlation that was the original mission makes me wonder, advisor went through, just looking at the course alignment as it was given, different from the like, for example, 3.0 understanding employment unit 4 lesson 1 found, and she just shared that 3. Unit 4 lesson 2. So if that's the case and the advisor just went in that particular spot,
This is Commissioner Linker. So if we're discussing the material, I couldn't access the website, but I looked again at the advisor's feedback and then at my own notes. I found that it met or at least 60%, and the threshold is 50%. And there were some advisors who did find some of that. So I wonder if it was a navigation part on the website, especially if the correlation guide's not showing some of the things that were possibly on the platform, like within the materials that were submitted. So if they were on the website for the materials and it was there, but they couldn't locate it and they didn't see it referenced in the correlation guide.
That could very well be. I'm sharing what we shared for the correlation, and you probably can't see it. So I'll increase my view. Hold on 1 second. We'll try 100% there. That's a bit better. So maybe this only makes sense to us. You can let me know, but we captured your standards, indicated which course, whether it was A or B, specifically which unit, which lesson, how the standards taught, where it's assessed. So if we need to remediate to make this easier for your review panels and commissioners to evaluate, please do let me know.
This is Commissioner Ray. So I'm looking at, it appears to be the same document that you have there that was shared with us. And I see that 3.01 in the document we were given for understanding employment law, it says that it's found in Unit 4, Lesson 1, while in the references that we were just given in reconsideration, 3.01 is evident in Unit 4, Lesson 2 in A1. So that might be something that prevented us from being able to find it, perhaps.
Okay. I think I'm just going to go back to what I shared. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
With my, let's see. Okay, so 3.01, I referenced Business Law 1A, Unit 4, Lesson 1, as the document shows, legal obligations of employees, as well as Business Law 1B, Unit 2. And the Business Law 1B, Unit 2 was not referenced in the document that was shared out with you. That's true. But the first one, certainly, the first part is.
Okay, I can't see the where the presentation was that you just shared with us.
Yeah.
All I can
Let me
see.
share.
Awesome.
Okay, hold on 1 second. I'll just switch my share. Hang tight.
Sorry. Thank you.
No, that's all right. 1 moment. Okay, so here we go. Hopefully you can see PowerPoint.
Yes,
Okay, great. So there's 3.01. We'll just look at the
correct.
quick view. Business Law 1A, Unit 4, Lesson 1, as well as Business Law 1B, Unit 2. And I'm sorry, which lesson? Hold on one second. Let me figure it. It is Unit 2, lesson. Oh, I didn't capture it there either. Oh my goodness. Apologies for that. But this is the screenshot from the actual course. So in the spreadsheet that you were given, we captured the 1A part, but we did not, that's on us, capture the 1B part.
Okay, terrific. And then on that slide specifically, it says
Mhm.
Unit 4, Employee-Employer Relationship, Lesson 2.
Oh, that's
So
a
I
good
just want to make
point.
sure that we have the correct,
Yes.
yeah.
Information. Now I went into the course last night to take a look, and that's where I found the information. Hopefully I didn't make a typo.
Okay, okay. So then in that case, I'm just trying to figure out which lesson it would be in for my report, if it's in lesson 2 or in lesson 1, as it's noted.
I
in
would say the
our-
lesson 1. I was sorry, the lesson
Okay.
2, because that is the current information. I did go in last night to take a look.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
This is Commissioner Linker. So just for clarification purposes, because I can't access the website to see the material for
Sure.
myself, is 1A and 1B were both part of the submission, which means that they would have access to both those lessons when they
Correct.
logged in, correct? Is that
Yes,
correct?
correct. That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And we did provide a video to help with navigation, and we explained that. Depends on whether or not somebody had time to watch the video.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so now we as a commission are going to deliberate. Thank you for the clarification.
Oh, my pleasure.
Does anyone have anything to discuss at this time? Again, this is Commissioner Linker. Again, I found that lacking some of the stuff, it met the requirement of, I found at least 60%. And I was able to go into the website, but it's been a couple of months. I really think maybe a few people had a navigation issue, possibly, and if the correlation guide didn't line up to it, that is just a guide. So,
Commissioner Baldwin, I do think it is a guide, but recommendation would be just to make sure that it is easy to navigate fine. So that would be a recommendation, just to go back through, make sure everything is lined up. But it does meet the requirement.
any other discussion? Ready to vote? Let's vote. Mr. McLean, you want to ask us to officially?
All right, let's go ahead and take our vote for the E-Dynamic Program, EDL 3003. EDL 3003.
Commissioner Perry will need to vote.
Commissioner Perry, will you give us your vote, please, verbally?
Commissioner Perry, my verbal vote is yes.
Thank you for that. So we have 9 yes votes for bid number EDL 3003. I'm sorry, 10. She makes 10. That's right. 10 votes for EDL 3003. Thank you.
So at this time, if you want to, are you going to present, or are we going to? So you're fine. We're just a few minutes early. actually didn't have print, but we had PDFs and stuff. We should make Aubrey. A cookie.
Go
if you
get-
I'll give you a cookie if you go.
Oh.
Look,
I'll give you cashew.
I think Ricky could go get me a brain.
Any y'all need?
I would like a brain. So we should clarify when we say brain, we're talking about. The brain stress ball. Not helping. Two 2:30 dismissal time.
Exactly. He's back up.
Is she on it? Got 3 minutes. Way back in the sport, there was one. So like we were all on one bus. So China Grove was, so I went to South. So we went to China Grove, dropped off China Grove, and then we drove to South. And after school, South stopped at China Grove, we pick up and imagine the dismissal time, have wait for buses to come in. Because we shared buses that way. But instead of individual routes, it was one route. They just South went to China Grove. I was the first one off and the last one on. She on? Dr. McLean, it looks like our Pearson person's on if you want to see if she's ready.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Welcome.
Hello.
There. Can you hear us okay?
Yes, I'm just got to get back into my screen here.
Excellent.
Yes, I can. Thank you. Can you hear me?
We can. It sounds great. It's about
Okay, wonderful.
1:58. Are you ready?
Yes, I am ready whenever you are.
Okay, we'll go ahead and we will get started. We will turn this portion of the meeting over to you. First up, we have bid number SVL 3005. SVL 3005.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm Deborah Noakes, the CTE Lead Account Executive for Savas, formerly Pearson. We are the resellers for Pearson. We are looking at, like you said, SVL 3005, which is our Learning Audio Video Productions title. This title, we did create correlations and did not find any major gaps. Those correlations should be available to you on the reviewer site for North Carolina. Just make note that some of these correlations might have been found in both the SE and the TE. The TE is a great feature. It's a wraparound TE. It has a lot of teaching tips, plus discussion topics that are enrichment beyond what you might find in the chapter. So those teaching tips and those discussion questions might be something that goes beyond. And so if that's something that might have possibly been missed in some of those standards that you're looking at. Another concern that you had for this title was the capstone. Each chapter does have test banks and a test generator, which can be used, the test banks can be used to create a final exam through that test generator. However, I realize that's not necessarily what you would consider a project. That's just your content knowledge, your final assessment of that content knowledge. But each chapter also has a portfolio builder project. So those portfolio builder activities can be utilized to be put into a complete and final portfolio for that end capstone project. And that was the main aspects, benefits of this title that we kind of wanted to address, looking at what your concerns were for this title.
Thank you. Are there any questions?
This is Commissioner Austin. With this being such a production-heavy course, I'd love to be able to see a sample of that so I could see what what you're saying the portfolio builder would be in comparison with the capstone project, because teachers need to have at least an area to start with for if we're getting a textbook so that we can assess in that manner.
Right. Well, each chapter, it should be not only mentioned in the teacher's edition, but at the end of each chapter, the review, the activities at the end include those portfolio builders that can be put into that portfolio at the end of the course. So they're all the activities that would be considered your application level type activities where they're actually doing those projects. Any other questions on this one? I assume I know all of you have had the books and the TE, both the SE and the TE to look at, so.
Commissioner Linker, and I initially found just enough standards to cover it, but just enough standards. There were quite a few that were lacking, but I will say that on the platform is only the student edition.
Okay.
We do not have the teacher edition. And I just logged in again just to make sure my notes were correct. So I never saw a teacher's edition.
Oh, really?
And to be honest, your explanation of how to navigate was lacking a lot of direction.
Mm-hmm.
So I personally spent a lot of time trying to figure out that I was in the right space. So where would
Okay.
that teacher's edition information be on if I'm on the bookshelf?
Now,
That's all I have access to.
as far as I'm aware, the teacher's edition was sent to you as a physical copy, whereas the SE is what we have in digital. We do not have the TE in a digital format. So the TE should have been sent as a physical copy.
We only had digital access, and it should have been, if it was a print, we should have had a PDF of that, and we don't have a PDF of that.
Okay, and I don't know if Gina's in the room, if she could address that at some point. But I know that those should have been made available to you.
Do you have a copy of the print teacher's edition? Okay, good. We happen to have a copy of the print.
Okay.
That leads me to another question, though. The way the bid looks, it looks like it's just access to the shelf.
No, it should be both print and digital access. And then also access to all the teacher resources, such as the PowerPoints, the test generator, and the data files that are needed for the title.
And how would you access that if it's not on my bookshelf?
All of those are accessed on our Savas site, and I believe the reviewer site did have access to all the teacher resources.
No, not in what we have. Not for this course. Not, we may have for other. There was a lot of Savas courses offered, but in this particular submission, it wasn't provided. So it is, my question is it provided as part of the bid? Because I know how Savas has levels of accessibility, and so like it would need to be part of the basic level of accessibility.
The teacher resources are a basic level of the accessibility. The title itself can be purchased in any way, print alone or print plus digital or digital alone. Well, print alone is not available. I'm sorry. It is print plus digital. So this particular title is print plus it comes with a 6-pack of digital codes for that SE that's online.
Yes. No, you're fine. You're good. You can pull it. You can pull it down. I don't even have mine back on.
Due to time constraints, do you want to move on to the next title?
Teacher.
Just let me know when you're ready for the next title.
They're not ready yet. Just give us a few more
Okay,
seconds.
no worries.
This is Commissioner Linker. I did look at the master bid sheet, and it does have under the sub listings, it does say learning audio video production teachers edition.
Yes.
However, we did not, I will say for the record, we did not have access to that for evaluation purposes.
Okay. I will give that feedback back to the team and see what happened there, because I know on the calls we did discuss getting that teacher's edition out to you.
Are you guys ready for the next one, and then we'll discuss? Okay. If you're ready, we can look at the next one, because we'll discuss both of them after you give us some information.
Okay. So the next title is the SVL 3016, which is HVAC, and this is HVAC level 1 for us. Again, we did create correlations for this that should be on the reviewer's site. Did not find any major gaps, but really do want to address some of your concerns for this title. I know one of the concerns was the safety features in the title. For all NCCR curriculum, core curriculum is the prerequisite for any level 1 title. And that core curriculum goes into depth on safety. Although there's not a module itself for safety in the HVAC level 1, it does have call out boxes that are right next to all of the procedures. So they're right along next to any of the related training that's needed. So there's the red warning boxes and the yellow caution boxes about safety. But the majority of those safety, like all the safety that is got its own module, is in the core curriculum, which is that prerequisite. The heating that needs to be updated. This title is a 2018, which does have 2018 code in it. We realized that 2021 code came out just recently. In fact, it's been so recently that we're still in the process of creating that new edition to meet that 2021 code. It's probably going to be hard to find anybody that has that 2021 code in their current editions right now. I think if you compare that HVAC to other people on the market, you'll find that it's probably one of the most updated versions. We've tried to take out coverage on outdated components and slowly adding in those updated, not slowly, but adding in the updated systems that are available, such as communicating thermostats, variable motors, electricity. NCCR is the authority on trade titles. There are certifications, industry recognized. We have apprenticeships that conform to the DOL requirements. We meet 85% of competencies in HVAC excellence. Job descriptions are linked on our likely basis for the job description on ONET. We have nationally recognized credentials, as I said, and we partner with NATE and now with HVAC Excellence. As I said, though, we understand that it's the 2018 code. Again, that 2021 just came out. It takes a little bit of time to get the new edition in the works. We will be having a new edition out next year. And once published, we could always substitute the 6th edition for the 5th edition that would be on the state bid. And just by looking at our core curriculum, which is a new edition, you can kind of see what you'll be able to expect in any new edition from NCCR moving forward.
Thank
so
you.
Questions?
Well, Commissioner Linker, just not a question, just a side note more for your benefit. No, we can't substitute. You'd have to go through the evaluation process again.
Okay.
For the state of North Carolina at this time anyway.
Right, which is a yearly process, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it's a roughly 5-year cycle. It depends on when, as they update their standards and their criteria, they'll ask for a review, they being the CTE division.
Okay. Okay. Well, we have some states that it's a yearly
Yes.
process, so yes.
Anyone have any questions about that one? Discuss. Discussion. So we will discuss, and since we have two, we're going to talk about the first one. So we'll discuss the first one, and then we will vote on the first one. Then we'll take up the second one, and then vote on the second one. So
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay, the first one, SVL 3005. Bid number SVL 3005. Floor is open for your comments.
This is Commissioner Seiss. After listening to her explain the student edition versus the teacher edition, and then looking at the actual title of our bid being Learning Audio Video Production Student Edition, I don't know that we can count against the fact that we did not get the teacher edition because the bid specifically says it's student edition only.
Any other comments? Any points of clarification?
I do. This is Commissioner Autry. In the bid sheet, did it say that we had, just clarify one more time, did it say under the subcategory that we had the teacher edition, but we actually did not have it, but it was included in the bid?
Yeah, Commissioner Linker, it is listed on the bid sheet.
Mhm.
It was not provided for evaluation purposes.
This is Commissioner Mills.
Yes?
Yes.
So if it wasn't provided but should have been, to me, that's a problem because you could not.
Commissioner Linker, you're correct, Commissioner Mills. If it's not provided, then we're not allowed to consider it. We can only consider the materials that are provided for us to consider.
Only consider what we have. This is Commissioner Mills, correct?
That is correct. You are correct, Commissioner Mills.
Thank you.
Discussion.
Okay. If there are no more comments, let's go ahead and take a vote on SVL 3005. We will also take that verbal vote at this time.
Commissioner Perry, no.
Thank you. We're still in need of vote. We have 7 yes votes and 3 no votes for bid number SVL 3005. 7 yes and 3 no. We will now turn the discussion to bid number SVL 3016. The floor is open for your comments.
This is Commissioner Linker. I voted to accept in the beginning. I did find 80% of the instructional standards. Again, I did not see a capstone in this. We did have access to everything because this was a totally different platform than the first one. And they just, across the board, the Savas Pearson doesn't have capstone activities included. But I did find that it met 80% of the instructional indicators.
Commissioner Baldwin, I too voted for this the first time, and I agree it meets the standards as well. Recommendation would be to look at that correlation guide again to make sure that it aligns.
Commissioner Ray, I initially voted no for this, and now knowing and doing the background research and seeing that the HVAC information was just updated recently, any of the textbooks that we adopt will be outdated for the following 5 years. So looking at the other 80% that is met and appeared to be substantial, I mean, it looked like good stuff. I feel comfortable in changing my vote to yes and moving forward with that. And the teachers can just supplement with updated information as they would need to do anyway.
Hearing none, let's proceed to vote for SVL 3016. SVL 3016. I'm in need of a few more votes here.
Yeah. We get this way.
Yes, and I need the verbal vote, please.
Sorry, Commissioner Perry, yes.
Thank you. So we have 10 yes votes for bid number SVL 3016. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Everyone, this is Commissioner Linker. If you ever take a minute, make sure that you've got those 2 pieces done for each of the bids before conclude for today, and then some housekeeping or basic information for moving forward. So as we have finished concluded our deliberations and our reconsiderations, our time together is coming to an end. So happy to see everybody face to face. And thank you, Commissioner Perry and Commissioner Mills, for being able to join us online. Our final report has to be submitted by 9 o'clock tonight. So give you a chance to look over, make sure, I know I like to make sure everything's spelled correctly, no errors. As we've added information while we were discussing things during the day today, it's been fairly fast paced. Once you do your final report and you go into submit it, which is when you click the final, I'm even afraid to touch the button. If you click the final report button, then you will see where your notes fall into it and what your final report will look like. You can't not edit it there. If you want to edit anything, you have to go back into your notes and comments for final report. But when you're done and you're satisfied, before the night is over, if you'll go back into the final report, you have to click, check a box acknowledging that it's yours. And then at the time that you submit that, you will at that point be locked out of the platform and you will not be able to access it. It is also unretrievable. So once you're sure that's what you want, like I tell the kids when we do the NC check-ins, you sure that's what you want? Hit stop and go and hit stop again. Once you're finished, it's gone and you will be complete. Your report will be submitted and that will be printed, and that's what will be provided to the State Board of Education and the public. A reminder is there is a safety measure. I'm afraid to even go in there to worry about the safety measure. But once you click submit, a pop-up warning will say, are you sure that you want to submit? And you click OK, and then it's gone forever.
Commissioner Linker, this is Commissioner Mills. So we have to do each one individually, is that correct? Submit each one individually?
So if you're in the notes and comments for final report where you're typing it, you have to submit that within each bid for it to show up in the final report. And then you would go to the final report to see what it looks like. We can't edit in the final report, but you'll see what it looks like in the final report. And then you have to submit that final report. So you're actually submitting from your notes and comments to get it to fall into the final report. And then when all of that is like you like it, it looks, you like your notes, they're how you want them to be, then you have to, from within the final report, submit it again. Can you want to add? And if you would like, you can contact Ms. Wallace and she can help you, guide you through that last stage. With that, Dr. McLean, I think we have to have a motion. Do we have to have a motion to adjourn? We do, don't we?
Commissioner Mills, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Thank you. May we get a second? Motion has been made. It's been seconded. So moved. We just thank everyone. Do I hear that is so moved? I think the laughter confirmed.
Yes. Yes.
Gosh, what a joy it's been to see those of you who came in person and to hear those of you who chimed in remotely. This was truly a bit of a task to get us together, but with everything else, we finally figured it out. So thank you, one and all, for your willingness to meet. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you for your service to the Textbook Commission. Do have a great day. Bye-bye.